Hey guys, it's your old pal Tony Giles TG here, back with you once again in the record room. And on today's episode, I'm going to talk about one of the strangest film scores that I have in my collection, and one that I'm very happy to have in my collection because this is a relatively new reissue of the absolutely insane. If you haven't seen it, or I would say this is not a film that I would recommend for anybody. I have seen this film and I do like the music in it, but I'm kind of an odd guy. However, this is a truly rare AF score that's finally had a reissue. The record itself, or the score itself, we'll bust it open, is Morte Ha Fatto L'uovo. In other words, Death Laid an Egg. That is the English translation to this score by Bruno Maderna. This is part of the new Cinevox Hidden Gems series, cult and obscure original soundtracks from the vaults of Cinevox Records, super limited edition on coloured vinyl in a special 350 GSM thick sleeve. Now this film, Death Laid an Egg. First start, that's just weird, okay? That's a weird name. But I wanted to actually read the IMDb plot summary, just in case some of you out there have a real idea of what you're getting yourself into if you decide to seek out this film. So, a love triangle develops between three people who run a high-tech chicken farm. It involves Anna, who owns the farm, her husband Marco, who kills prostitutes in his spare time, and Gabriella, the very beautiful secretary. Marco continues to kill as jealousy becomes more prevalent on the farm. This film is very strange. It's not like there are a lot of Italian murder mystery films, giallo, whatever you like, that are fantastic, that are superb. That's not up there as one of my favorites, I will say that. But the music from the film, it's so odd and random and shouldn't work, but it really does. And original copies of this record are now selling for around £500, €600. It is insanely rare. You very rarely see this. In fact, there are a couple of copies up on Discogs now that are listed as poor. Not for very much money, but you know, when they're saying like it's not in good condition, but someone out there still might want to purchase it. I think that says a lot. I really do. So happy to have this, so happy that it's part of this new Cinevox Hidden Gem series. I did purchase some other ones, so they will be coming up on future episodes, but I have to say, just from the cover alone, it looks fantastic. It really does. They have done a superb job on this. I'm going to bust this open. Now, I've heard this record a million times, so I don't need to give it a spin before I can talk about it, because the score is very dissonant, very jarring, very alarming. It's not like one of those peaceful Italian scores that you can just put on and have in the background. No, this is a record that will capture you either in the best way and you'll love it, or you'll just think, what is this god-awful noise? Please turn this off, because I think I'm going to have, you know, a headache. And here we've got a nice little insert as well. Very nice. Now, the original artwork for this does actually look like this. So this isn't kind of a snapshot. Sometimes they do that with the original artwork, but no, this is just a nice insert, nicely done. And again, this wasn't expensive. I think this was under £30, I will say that. So it's a nice sleeve. It does come in a paper inner, which barks off, but we will let it go because I can just replace that. And it comes on what seems to be orange vinyl, or maybe they were trying to go for an egg yolk color. I don't know. It is nice. It is weighty. The cover's nice. The packaging overall, you know, aside from the paper sleeve, which I got to take marks off for a paper sleeve, it is really nice. You know, the insert is nice. It doesn't even say anything on the outside about there being an insert, so that's like a nice little bonus. This is not a record that will be for everybody. That is for dang sure. But if you're a fan of Italian film scores, there's a good chance you don't own a copy of this. I have hundreds of Italian film scores. The number of originals I have is probably less than 10. Might even be less than £5. So grabbing one of these reissues for less than £30 for me is just an absolute no-brainer. This is exquisite music, not for everybody, but for those that it's for, trust me, this is something to really, really cherish and hold. Death Laid an Egg. It's an odd film with an odd score, but one that I would recommend checking out if you dare. If you have some sort of avian fear, avoid like the plague. Avoid. There are many birds, many chickens, many eggs. There's some weirdness in this film, but I guess if you've seen it, you can say you've seen it and you can tick it off a list. Who knows? It may even come up in a pub quiz one time. Who knows? Who knows? Are you a fan of this? Do you know this record? Do you know the score for Death Laid an Egg? Let me know in the comments down below. I would love to hear from you. If you're a fan of Italian film scores, reach out because I have tons that I would love to talk about on future episodes. But that's it for now. Thanks again for joining me. And remember, stay gold and spin those blackest circles.